The girls' new cheer uniforms were ordered in September. They were going to be here by Christmas, then January, then guaranteed before the first competition. They didn't make it. So we all just scrambled. We cobbled together uniforms for the 4 different teams, from old bits of kit, t-shirts, skirts, and even Nike Pro shorts. The next day, the kit arrived. And it was the wrong colour. Every layout I've ever done for Sylk has heavily featured turquoise. It's a signature colour for the team. And the uniforms were dark royal blue. So instead of a great contrast colour, it's one that blends into the background. I've got photos from different competitions with lots of different outfits, including the new ones and all their challenges. Can I make it work? Let's find out.
So today we're scrapping a lot of cheerleading photos. Going to be using this sketch today from Jama Malmi, but you can see there's 9 photos on here, and I do have a few more than that. And obviously I'm going to need to fiddle with things because of the dimensions of the A4 versus the 12 by 12. But I've pulled out all the papers that I could find that are blue and purple, which are the colours of the uniforms, whether they should be or not. And we don't really have a true, what we in England would call a Cadbury's purple, which is what their uniform actually is. But I think these two tone quite nicely with the bows, so I think it's going to work. I've got more papers than I'm going to use, but at least this way we've got some options, and we can maybe use some colours for photo mats as well. So I've done one side, and because I did a bit of fiddling with the paper, I thought I would show you how I did it. So what I've done is I've just cut a single piece of A4 print paper in half and stuck that to the mat with the removable glue dots, and then I'm using that kind of as a base to build the other pieces of paper together. So first off, we've got this piece, which is the mirror image to this. I've already attached the banner onto it, and I know that I want this to start at the 22 mark on my mat, because I leave 1 centimetre in the middle so that I can help line things up. I know that I've got this much space to put tape runner on, and then we can stick down the base piece. So something like that. And we're going to 22, trying to line it up at the top as best we can and straight with the line. So we go down to the bottom of the mat, and that looks pretty good. And then we're going to have this piece going over the top. And I picked this is from the celebratory sips paper, but I picked it because I thought these shapes looked like the girls' crazy cheer bows, because they kind of have the 4 bits that stick out in the different directions, and the colour's quite a good match. So we'll do the same again now with the putting some tape runner down this piece, and then this time we're lining up to the outside edge along the white line, trying to be consistent and also get it lined up with the piece of print paper that I had underneath. So as I said, this is already in place, so the next off is going to be the blue banner, and I've got this here. And what I did with this one is literally just budge it up, but it up next to this paper here, and get the top lined up nicely. And then we have this piece to go on top. I think we were something like that. Much more. Yeah, that looks good. So in with the ruler and feed it down. There's our base papers. I'm going to bring back in the photos. There's not a perfect flow across here yet. I might move these up So there, yeah, I think what I'd planned to do was have those kind of equal here and here, and then this one just equal to that, even though it's then on an angle from here. I think what immediately strikes me is these photos down the side probably don't need a mat. They are already standing off really nicely on their own. So I'm going to ink up around the edges of the photos and cut out a couple of mats, and then come back and have a look how we're doing. Because I was tight on space, I decided to work on the title first so that I could see how big it would be, and that would give me how much space I'd got to build the photos around. So you'll see here that firstly I'm putting that navy royal blue in, and then I'm coming in with the purple, and the idea is that the white tops and bottoms will be a good contrast against the darker background paper. So I want to make some postage themed ephemera because the uniforms took a long time to come in the post. So first off, I'm making a couple of stamps. So I've cut out squares, and then I've used postage stamp shaped dies to cut out a white edge, and I'm going to put the coloured piece in the middle. That will do for that one. And then same thing again with this one. Try and line them up. So I've got a couple of stamps that say airmail on them. I've got a couple of like that get stamped, and I have got one's a tag that says "We're better together," which I thought was suitable for cheer. Yeah. Turn over. So I'm going to use the black that I used to edge the letters, because these don't have to be perfect. You know, if you think of the ones that come through the mail, they're not very often perfect, are they? So this is a bigger one, so I'm going to stamp that on the bigger stamp, and then we do the smaller one on the smaller stamp. It might be good to stamp a date on these as well. Okay, so the first competition where they didn't have the uniforms was the 18th of January. And then the second competition, I think, was the 14th of February, because they had Valentine's flowers. So it was Valentine's Day.
So this is where we've got to. I've stuck the photos down, and overnight I had a little bit of reflection, and I decided that you were kind of losing the prettiness of the layout by having photos coming down and blocking this. So what I've done is I've moved this photo and this photo, and I've made this into a flip flap. So we're going to have sky on the top there, Layla on the bottom, and then this picture that was a 3x4 I cut down to a square, and that's going to be there on the bottom. And then I've also done the journaling, and there was quite a lot to say, so there's actually 2 pages of journaling, and that main photo is going to still be there on the top, but for now just going to move those out of the way so they're not getting involved with the layout. Everything else is stuck, so now I'm going to work on the title. So I've ink blended these letters, and then I've cut this rest of the title out in this turquoise glitter paper, which has got a stitch detail on it, which, because the uniforms were made, I thought that made sense. And the turquoise is the colour that the uniforms were supposed to be, and it's also the colour that this team wear in their bows. You can't see it very clearly, but I know it's right. So I'm going to stick the title down, and then we can talk about embellishing. Ta-da! Okay, so I've prepared some ephemera. I have got some stamps that you saw me making before. Then I've made some little parcels to talk about the part of the story where the uniforms were late and they had to perform in old uniforms in t-shirts and shorts.
Then I've got some couple of dressmaking ephemera. These are from the Hobby Haven set. They don't really match colour wise, but I think they're fine. And then I've got a ruler and a pair of scissors. I've got those mail stamps, and then I've also cut out in glitter paper one of each of the colour of the bows that the different teams wear. So I thought that was cute to have all the different colour bows. So there you see, they're the colours of their dance school. They're the colours that the uniforms should have been, but they were royal blue instead of turquoise. I guess it's just time to start arranging. Just going to bring back in, this is the sketch that we're using, and on the sketch there's embellishment clusters here, here and here. So I think I've got my title this side, but I've left a space up here for the embellishment cluster. I have also got a couple of wordy bits that tell the story that I need to go and cut out as well. And then I think we'll definitely be having something here. And then maybe in this little spot here. We'll see how things develop. So the embellishment clusters for this layout ended up being quite complicated, and I've decided to talk it through with you while it's on fast forward. So you'll see me firstly working in the cluster in the top left hand corner, and that is where I'm focused on doing the story from before the uniforms arrive. So all the pictures down that first column are where the girls are wearing random collections of old uniform, and the embellishments that I'm putting together are ones that are themed around sewing, because obviously that was what was happening. And then I've made these cute little parcels, which is to reflect the boxes that took a long time to come in the post. And then I popped one of the turquoise bows there because they did still have turquoise on their uniforms at that point. Finally, I'm just figuring out where I'm going to put the scissors and the bow. And I think that one's coming together quite nicely. So you just see me sticking that all down now. Then I'm moving on to the second cluster down at the bottom, and I've got this dressmaker's dummy, which was what led me to build into this cluster, because that is quite a tall embellishment, and so I needed to find a spot where it was going to make sense. So I've got the little bits of story in around there as well, the parcels and the various postage and airmail stickers. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that it all fits together as a cluster. So the little bit of journaling is joined together as well. You see, I popped one more bow in there, and I still feel there's a little bit of something missing. But anyway, moving on to the next one. Here is where I decided to use the space. There wasn't really enough space in that top corner, although I do try the postage stamp in a few places. It ends up not being used as yet, but it will come back in a different form as we progress. So at this point, I really want to use those airmail stickers, the blue, but it just feels like it would be too much of a stack of things the same. And you'll see me trying to figure out how I'm going to fit all 4 bows around. So at this point, I'm thinking this bit of journaling needs somehow to stand out a bit more. Okay, I've cut out this tag, and this is the journaling for it. So I think that going to pop it up towards the top like that, and then this blue bit can get tucked in behind. So I think we can get this stuck down, and then I'm just going to butt it up to these 2 edges here. Maybe we go that way. That's quite cute. And then I just pop a little bit of black ink around the edge of this tag here in order that it stands out nicely like the rest. So I've got those together, put the parcel. I think this would have worked if it was a different colour. I made this little envelope that I am going to put in here, but I don't think that needs to be inside of it, because it doesn't really make sense for it to be inside of it anyway, because it's a stamp. Maybe let's see if we can ink blend that into some purple. And I'm going to take a purpley ink. It's a slightly brighter one than the Blackberry Bliss. You'll see it's more vibrant. And I'm just trying to make the shadings so it references the background paper that's got that kind of mottledy shading to it. And there we have the finished layout. I have put a few sticky gems on as well, lifted it up off the board, and I'm really pleased with how it all came together in the end.
Honestly, it was kind of fun to play with a different blue. Coming up next time, we're going to be scrapbooking photos from Washington State. We went there recently for a family celebration, so I'm already scheming as to what it's going to be. If you want to see how that one turns out, come join the gang. In the meantime, just want to say thank you to my mum who crafts with fabric milk paper for my amazing peace symbol for my new room. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.